Part 2 of the Week 5 preview here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, Bills, Texans. This one could be a scorcher. And on Buffalo's side, I know, Bills fans are suggesting, go get Devontae Adams. I think they're fine with who they
Yeah.
have. Maybe we'll see where Adams lands. But Buffalo side against the Texans, this one's on the road for Buffalo. They're going to be wanting to prove a point.
Yeah, you wanna see how they respond. We saw in the first half of the first game against Arizona, week 1, they fell behind, they responded in the second half, and then it seemed like this team really had hit cruising altitude, but the only thing that got, run over was Derrick Henry last week, and you saw Buffalo kind of just close up shop. So you should be a better fantasy game for Josh Allen, maybe even a shootout. James Cook. The main thing we're going to watch in the passing game is Khalil Shakir banged up, ankle, missing practice on Wednesday. Of course, if Shakir's out, that makes Keon Coleman interesting. Dalton Kincaid is going to be in either way, but maybe that could lead to a Dalton Kincaid breakout. And, facing a Houston Texans team that I would think during this off season, during the preseason, we were thinking, well, this is a rivalry in the sense that who's coming for Buffalo as a team that wants to say, no, it's our turn. It's our turn to be in the mix in the AFC, in the Super Bowl picture. It's the Texans. Well, they haven't quite looked like a Super Bowl team so far, but this could be a game where they say, no, the story's not over yet.
Yeah, and it's early, right? Like, I think people get a little premature on their praise. It takes some time. Look at Detroit, right? They're fighting, they're
Right.
battling to be an actual Super Bowl contender. They're close. Josh Reynolds didn't drop them damn passes. He's still doing that, Bloom. It is a Broncos show, but it's a Texan show right now. Where's Joe Mixon? Like, I think if Joe Mixon was healthy and like 10 years younger, this would be a perfect combination. But hey, this is what we got to do with.
Yeah, I think that this should be a game for CJ Stroud, and it should be a game. Dank Dell should be back. He's at least at what the heck, flex 4 teams on by. Of course, Nico Collins. It's reasonable. If someone put out wide receiver rankings right now for the rest of the season, and they had Nico Collins number 1 wide receiver, I wouldn't say that's totally off base. In fact, it might end up being correct. And then, of course, Stephon Diggs. Will Mixon be back? You want to see him get in a full practice. I guess you have to play him at least as a flex play if he's active, and you're not going to necessarily pivot to Cam Akers if he's not active. The one thing to watch here, though, again, is Buffalo's run defense is weary from having to deal with Derrick Henry. And again, this should be a really good game, an actual revenge game, too, for one Stephon Diggs.
Yes, revenge is on the mind. We'll see if it happens. Just winning is on the mind of the Denver Broncos as they're at home to face the Las Vegas Raiders. Since they've been the Las Vegas Raiders, the Broncos have never beat them. Now, it's, it's a good option this week. We'll see. But the Raiders side of things, no Devontae Adams. I believe, and I'll talk to Vance Joseph today. We are recording Thursday morning. I will talk to Vance Joseph today. I think he puts Pat Surtain on Brock Bowers. I don't think he'll just tell me straight up, that's our plan. But I'm going to suggest,
Right.
like, hey, we used to see Aqib Talib on Rob Gronkowski. Is there an idea that you would have Pat Surtain on Brock Bowers? That might just eliminate Bowers. So Jacoby Myers on Riley Moss, I guess. Uh they stuffed the run. See if they can do that again. But it's like, all right, how are the Raiders even going to put up a fight?
Yeah. Maybe some shots downfield to Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker and Jacoby Myers, both wide receiver fleet, 3 flex types plays. We're not going to see Devontae Adams, probably the last of Devontae Adams in a Raiders uniform. Like you said, Brock Bowers, even if they do say that PS2 is on Brock Bowers, you still got to play him. It's tight end, and they're going to do a lot of creative things. At least we know they're doing creative things with Brock Bowers. The main thing to watch here in this offense is Alexander Madison, and the team is saying he deserves more opportunities. He's looked better than Zamir White. He's produced at the goal line. He's produced in the passing game. Now, last week, he's producing some good runs. So, absolutely, Alexander Madison deserves a flex play, and he may end up being the key to the Raiders hanging in this game because, well, the Broncos have a lot of good things that end up with W's, but they don't exactly force teams to get into hurry up desperation mode on offense.
They have a great defense. Their offense is a work in progress. Can Javante do it again? That's the main question. I did talk to Blake Watson yesterday. It seems like he'll get a jersey this week. So we'll see. Jalil's role is always Jalil's role, but it's Javante, or does Blake do what Tyler Bidet was about ready to do and just kind of take those roles? We're not relying on Greg Dulcich. Maybe the Raiders are terrible against the pass. They're terrible against the run. They're terrible on defense. Can Bo Nix take advantage with Sutton, who'd you consider as a flex play?
Right.
And then the Javante question. That's the only thing here with the Broncos.
Yeah, this is a pretty simple offense to analyze for fantasy football. Bo Nix, if you're replacing Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix is a reasonable call just because he's probably the most likely player on the team to get a rushing touchdown. And you know that this game is going to be close enough. The Raiders aren't going to run away from anyone either. That Sean Payton's going to have a chance to execute a game plan. Max Crosby's banged up. He didn't play last week. That's one of the key players that may make Bo Nix's life difficult if he's not 100% or not playing. That helps. But you're right. It is about Javonte Williams and the revival, resurrection of his career. Got to look at him as at least a flex play because the game script is going to be very conducive to keeping that running game going. And somehow, some way, Cortland Sutton finds a way to be fantasy relevant, even in the shambles of a pass offense that this is right now. So, like you said, he's a flex play. And yeah, we might have a Denver team that has a winning record somehow after this one.
Yeah, somehow, some way, Sean Payton will take all the credit. Cardinals and 49ers up next in this one, and Arizona on the road. But do they sense a little blood in the water? They themselves having things to prove, and this division pretty brutal. This will be a matchup that, honestly, William, I could see it going either way. Shootout, low scoring game, blowout. Like, I could see this game in any sort of scenario. How do you predict it?
Yeah, Arizona's offense, we were pretty excited about the possibilities of a healthy Kyler Murray, adding Marvin Harrison Jr., Drew Petzing in his second year, putting this offense together. And with the exception of the game against the Rams, when the Rams really were in a sort of panic state, when everything was falling apart for the Rams, Cardinals offense hasn't really been that good. Maybe Trey McBride will be back. Maybe that will help. Maybe we'll see James Conner established the run. He's had some games that were really inefficient. You'll probably see Marvin Harrison Jr. get a chance to score a touchdown. But overall, this is an underperforming offense, and you don't exactly expect an underperforming offense to get right on the road against San Francisco. So again, the plays are pretty easy. You're going to find a spot for Connor. You're going to find a spot for McBride if he's back. You're going to find a spot for Marvin Harrison Jr. But because this offense hasn't been as good, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, not so much. And then Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is not an automatic start, even with 4 teams on bye. Kyler Murray's not an automatic start because we're not seeing him contributing big plays as a runner. We're not seeing him really click and unlock what this pass offense can do. And this is not a matchup where you expect things to get better.
Yeah, it's not a great matchup there. Is McBride the key, though?
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
we haven't seen a game when that's the thing is you want to throw out. Look, through 4 games, we can start to make judgments of which games were the aberration, or which games were based on the matchup, or which games were based on something temporary, and which games are closer to the baseline. And the baseline of this offense is it's a mediocre offense.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the other offense. Not mediocre. By the way, Ricky Persal's window is open. That decision has been yet to be made, but will be made later this week. He's on the NFI list, of course, after he was shot in an attempted robbery. George Kittle day to day with those ribs. Of course, fantasy GMs are like, can Brandon Ayuk do more? Hell, can everybody do more? Not named Jordan Mason. And of course,
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings, too. They're getting it done.
Yeah, Brock Purdy has been fantastic, real quiet, but Brock Purdy continues to step up to that $50+ million year contract. Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, not very irrelevant, very relevant.
Love it.
And in fantasy, I mean, for instance, if someone said Brock Purdy or Kyler Murray, I'm playing Brock Purdy in this matchup. And Jordan Mason, potential league winner. We'll see what happens with the bilateral tendonitis with Christian McCaffrey, week 10 at the earliest that he'll be back. And then it's kind of a mess after that. You probably play Deebo Samuel because he's just so good and he gets to contribute some as a runner. You've got to play George Kittle because, well, tight end. But it looks like Juwan Jennings is not going away as a downfield target with that trust from Brock Purdy, and why should he? And Brandon Ayuk just isn't a big part of the game plan every week. You're not seeing this team using Brandon Ayuk to really get things going. He just is another weapon. He's another piece. Like you said, if Pearsall comes back, then that's another piece. It's good for Brock Purdy, not great for Ayuk. And I think that Ayuk is one of those players, if you're on the fence, if you're asking, like, am I really going to bench Brandon Ayuk for, I don't know, Wandale Robinson in a PPR league, probably is the right call.
Yeah, let's talk Packers and Rams up next. You get to talk about Tucker Craft, Bloom. So
Yay.
that makes you happy. What would make Packers fans happy is, well, maintaining and staying in a game so they can still run the ball, right? So they can still use Josh Jacobs. Christian Watson not going on IR. Is it a mild? There is no such thing as a mild high ankle sprain.
Right.
I'm just going to call it.
Yeah.
But Dontavian
Yeah.
Wicks getting a lot of Wicks questions. Jaden Reed, Tucker Craft, and yeah, if they're in this one, which they should totally be in this one, then it's more Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. If anything, you're wondering, can the Rams hang in this one? Because
No.
right. So that's the recipe for Josh Jacobs, or maybe Emmanuel Wilson as a what the heck flex.
Yes.
But
Yep.
Jordan Love, he's a top 10 quarterback, even in a game script that might not ask him to throw the ball more than 23, 25 times because it is a high efficiency offense. Dontavian Wicks is an upside wide receiver 3 flex. Jaden Reed is the words are coming all at once. He's a wide receiver 1. I think it's a small sample size. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think with Jordan Love, he's a wide receiver 1. I think he's a buy high and a player that we may see. He only needs 4 or 5 touches a game to be a wide receiver 1 when he gets those extra touches in the running game also. And then, well, Romeo Dobbs, and maybe he's not going to be there for him, but it is going to be there for Tucker Craft. Luke Musgrave's banged up. Heard that one before. And Tucker Craft is a run after catch beast. He is a person that can get some targets in the red zone. And he's somebody also that can take advantage of defenses that are worried about the running game, that are worried about Wicks and Reed. He's the last part of the game plan they're going to account for. And a tight end with the bar so low, that's really all you need for one of the hits at tight end to come off of the waiver wire.
Don't go toe to toe with the Packers. You can't
Yeah.
run the ball. Don't get in any sort of shootout. So there you go. Just run the ball. Kyron Williams is showing up big. At least he needs to. A dash of Ronnie Rivers, maybe. I mean, we know Demarcus Robinson's banged up. Jordan Whittington will do more. Tutu Atwell will do more. But the Rams, you want to stay in this one? Lots of Kyron, Bloom.
Yeah, just conservative. Profiles and Courage. That's my Matthew Stafford. People know about Profiles and Courage. What was it? PT
Uh,
109, PT 108, something like that. Look it up, folks. But poor Matthew Stafford, but he can keep. If you're looking at the Packers passing game, you want a ceiling game. It's Matthew Stafford keeping them in the game, which I guess would be some Tutu Atwell and Jordan Whittington as what the heck flex type plays. And then Kyron Williams, still a top 5 running back with everything falling apart around him in this Rams offense. And like you said, they're going to put as much on his shoulders, maybe more, just like they did last year, than he can handle. And that's the thing about the Rams is you look at them, they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. Matthew Stafford might be in his last year with the team. They should be a team that's closing up shop, but I think it's a testament to Stafford, to Sean McVay, to the culture of the team that they still put up a lot of fight every week.
yes. Lots of fight in us. Not our next, at least the first opponent. It's 4 games down, 3 games to go. We're putting What the Heck Flex on Twitter, so make
No.
sure to follow at the Audible. I've finally figured out how to do that, Bloom. I was like,
Mm.
let's put that on Twitter. We'll talk about them throughout the show, but yes, you'll get that there when this show posts on at the Audible on Twitter X. But it's Giants in Seattle, and who the hell's going to play? Malik Neighbors probably not going to play. Thursday morning recording here, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that doesn't look good. Singletary with a groin. Okay, is that why he stunk last week when he shouldn't have? It's just the Giants in general. So yeah, I love Wandale Robinson as a what the heck flex.
Yeah, that's it. Wandale Robinson, and really in PPR leagues, he's more like a wide receiver 3 flex, someone you want to try to get in your lineup. We'll be interested to watch Tyrone Tracy if Devin Singletary's out. If Devin Singletary's in, how's the game script really going to set him up for a lot of opportunities? So you might leave him on the bench anyway. It's probably about the same level play that Tracy would be if Singletary's out. What the heck flex? And Darius Slayton, some more Jalen Hyatt. What happened there? Maybe some more Theo Johnson. Everyone noticed whenever he was chasing down a defensive back from behind, and he's a big man and a rookie. So maybe this is an opportunity to use some of the tools that Theo Johnson has in this passing game. Probably just an opportunity to us to think, How many more weeks until we see Drew Lock?
Yeah, how many more weeks? Well, Seattle, let's just talk about Kenneth Walker, please, and the Matrix move or whatever you want to call that. Like, it's amazing. A little bit banged up, but DK Metcalf's practicing, a little bit banged up, but Tyler Lockett's practicing. It's Geno, man. It's Geno at home against a weak opponent. Go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of Walker. And one of the things, even though for fantasy football, it can be frustrating because I think it leads to a lot of these injuries, like the oblique injury. He had a tremendous game. You go, "Oh, my side, it's gonna be fine." No, it's not gonna be fine. He's gonna miss time. He's one of those players that plays with no regard for his own body, which leads to maximizing his fantasy value and leads to someone like Ryan Grubb, the new offensive coordinator, saying he's a foundational back. On the couch this week with Rich Rebar, love Rich, reviewing some preseason assumptions or some of the tips, some of the things we were thinking about. And one of them was new regime in Seattle. A lot of indications that Kenneth Walker is going to be a foundational feature back, and he is, and he's producing like one for fantasy football now. What does that mean for the passing game? Well, DK Metcalf is still going to have a big upside, even if he only gets 3 or 4 catches. Makes you less excited to play Jackson Smith and Jigba or Tyler Lockett as a what the heck flex, or even Geno Smith covering a bye, because if anything, it's Zach Charbonnet as a what the heck flex, as we like to look and project these games. Think in the second half, you don't need to subject Kenneth Walker to more punishment. Let Charbonnet do the mop up work, because yeah, there's going to be a cleanup on aisle 5 in this one.
Yeah, remember when this next game used to be the snip, snap, snap? Remember when Dallas and Pittsburgh was like epic clash, and it's like, okay, Cowboys, who the hell's even going to be out there besides CD and Dak, of course? More Cavante Turpin, I guess. Jalen Tolbert, sure, but no Brandon Cooks. They don't really run the ball, and it's against the Steelers, who hunt quarterbacks professionally. So it could be ugly for the Cowboys again. Bloom.
Yeah, the Brandon Cooks thing was just got bad to worse. He had a procedure. Oh no. That was supposed to be to avoid meniscus surgery. Oh no. And he got an infection. Oh, well, he's going to miss at least a week. This is bad. And not that Brandon Cooks was a key part of this offense, but we've seen Jalen Tolbert out there a lot and not really gaining, earning a lot of targets. More is going to fall on Lamb and Ferguson, and Rico Dowdle's a what the heck flex. I just want to see Lipke. I'm doing this in the wrong order, aren't I? No. I want to see Hunter Lipke maybe, because this offense has looked better with Hunter Lipke out there than Rico Dowdle. So Dallas, we'll see. Dak, a tough matchup. You're probably still going to play him because everything is falling on his shoulders. And yeah, this is a game that has a rivalry, like some college football rivalries. I think of Texas Tech, Texas A&M, where it goes beyond the teams or the communities. Back in the 70s, it was the way of life of the people, really.
Yeah.
And it really, I think, launched the Super Bowl era. And when these teams get together, they usually play pretty incredible games. So I'm glad this one's going to be on in prime time for everyone to see it.
Yeah, I don't think this will be incredible, but also, Bloom, do you have a fascination with fullbacks? Is that your jam?
Well, see, well, Peyton Hillis, right? I mean, we have this, or Carson was supposed to be Carson Steele this year, right? I mean, I
It
love the
wasn't.
idea that yeah, I know. I love the idea that the way the NFL is changing back is making it so that players that might have been overlooked because of their 440, their 4.7 speed, or just because of their body type, because of the type of player they are. I think that it actually makes a lot of sense to me that a fullback, running back tweener can be a feature back or a lead back for a team with the way the NFL is set up right now, especially when it's somebody that has passing skills like Lipke.
Let's go Steelers side. Did you see the Justin Fields comparison to Pat Mahomes? Fields is better as a passer than people think. He's not Pat Mahomes. But like he's not this slappy that can't throw the ball. And once a game, he does an amazing throw. Like an
No.
amazing throw. And he attacks defenses' legs, which is good because Cordell Patterson's banged up, Jalen Warren's banged up, Najee Harris has every Wednesday off. It's like, okay, we know what the Steelers want to do. It's at home. It's against the Cowboys. They should be able to do it, Bloom.
Yeah, Justin Fields is a solid play this week. If you're worried about anything with Fields, it's that the Steelers' defense holds down the Cowboys' offense, and Fields doesn't have to do much. But I don't expect it to be that easy of a game. So you have Justin Fields, who is probably the best running option near the goal line for this team. And Najee Harris is going to get as much work as he can handle, but is he going to turn it into very much? He didn't last week against a Colts run defense that at least a few teams have been able to take advantage of. George Pickens, obviously he's in. Pat Fryermuth, obviously he's in. And then with the Steelers, well, there's a reason the Steelers come up immediately in connection with Devontae Adams, because this team was really looking for a second wide receiver, and we're seeing why. I thought maybe Calvin Austin third might become something, but it doesn't look like it. So yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot on the shoulders of Pickens and Fryermuth in the passing game. But maybe if the defense recovers from the poor performance they had last week against the Colts, not as much on the shoulders of the offense.
We got teams on bye, so only one Monday night game.
Ha!
Thank you, Lord above. It's Saints against Chiefs. Is Alvin Kamara okay? Is this offense going to rejuvenate themselves? Because they're going to have to against Kansas City.
Yeah, this is an offense that's become predictable. It's an offense that hasn't been putting teams off balance with motion and play action and all those things that were working so well in the first 2 weeks. And Kansas City's defense is a tough defense. I think this is going to be a stalemate kind of game. Like, this is what Kansas City's winning ugly, and New Orleans is happy to give the ball 26 times to Alvin Kamara and see if he doesn't break. At least Kendry Miller is being activated off of IR. And, Carr's going to go to Olave. Carr's going to go to Shaheed. They've got to be in your lineup. Don't think Taysom Hill is going to play after he left with that abdominal injury and he was about to be unleashed. And the thing is, maybe some things are simple. There was a breakdown, I forget, put it out there, that the Saints offense with Taysom Hill, the drives that Taysom Hill has participated in, are exponentially more likely to result in points than the drives Taysom Hill has not participated in this year. So again, ugly
Yes. Yes.
Monday night game.
Yeah, ugly Monday night game and more Kareem Hunt. I don't know. You just brought up Carson Steele. Let's try to figure out Kansas City and wow, Roshi Rice.
Yeah.
We'll leave that one alone, Bloom. But let's talk about Kansas City's offense. And well, hey, maybe it just means Kelsey's got to do more.
Yeah, and that Kelsey, that's necessity making him now the foundational part of the passing game. And then Xavier Worthy, who's got to be in as a wide receiver 3 flex. The Saints defense has been outstanding. If there's any flaw that you can exploit, it is they get over aggressive. Again, Darnell Mooney getting that pass interference penalty downfield to set up the game winning field goal. They only gave up one offensive touchdown last week, though. So this is still a very good defense against a not very good offense, not very threatening offense. Patrick Mahomes sees that there'll be a lot of questions. Say, do I really bench Patrick Mahomes for this week? Yeah, probably. I'm benching Patrick Mahomes for Justin Fields, for instance, because it's going to be hard for them to move the ball against a good defense. They do have the backfield. If you're going to play anybody, it's Kareem Hunt. Samaje Perine might get the touchdowns, and Carson Steele might get a chance to do a little bit more. I mean, I don't think that this book is. I think the book is probably closed on Carson Steele as a fantasy football asset, but I think as Carson Steele as a player that can contribute to this offense and contribute to this backfield when they're in this kind of state right now, so shorthanded. Yeah, I think that Andy Reid's not just going to say, now you're in the doghouse. That's just not Andy Reid's style. I think if you appreciate intense, emotional football, this is going to be a very entertaining game. I think if you're hoping you get enough points to win your fantasy matchup out of this one, you're not going to like watching this game.
Well, I appreciate you, Bloom, for many, 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 many reasons. So a hat tip to you, my friend. What the heck flex will be on Twitter. So follow us on at the Audible. Follow at the Audible on Twitter X. It's fascinating. Anyway, he's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey. Again, the show is at the Audible. That's where I'm going to post or what the heck flexes. So everyone, thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you. Before you're out of here, make sure to watch these videos. I'm Cecil Lammey saying he's Sigmund. I'm Cease. We are the Audible. Stay tuned and stay frosty.